And it's a very fine job of just sort of covering all of the important things that have gone on in the last 90 years in my life. So here, we'll just start at the beginning, down here at this end. This happens to be a copy of my birth certificate. In case you don't believe I'm 90, I've got the proof.
Did LJ track that down, or did you have that?
I had it.
Oh, wow.
I had made a copy in going to Mexico. It used to be that you didn't have to have a passport to go into Mexico, and now you do. But in the years, and I've been to Mexico countless times. I don't know how many. I've been to Chihuahua 6 times at least, Copper Canyon once, Tijuana and other border places many times. And you needed a copy of your birth certificate. So this is the beginnings. When I graduated from high school, this is the way I looked. There were 17 members in my graduating class, and only 3 of us guys still survived. All the girls are dead, but 3 of us guys are still here. One of the things that I've done as far as my spiritual life is concerned, I've earned bachelor's and master's degrees in theology. So I've had occasion to serve as a minister and an elder, and a song leader, and a Bible teacher, and it sort of goes on and on. Anything you can do in church work, I've done it. And this is a directory of one of the churches for which I ministered. And it has my picture in the front of it. During World War II, I was stationed on the USS Mendota, which was a patrol gunship in the Atlantic. It was the first vessel of its type, and we could encounter the enemy under any circumstances. If another ship attacked us, well, we had torpedoes, so we could take out that ship. If an airplane attacked us, we had placements for anti-aircraft guns that we could bring down planes. If there was a submarine coming after us, well, we had depth charges that we dropped and took out German submarines. Well, in the Atlantic Ocean, the shipping lanes had to be kept open so that we could ship troops and supplies to Europe to support the war there. And so our ship patrolled the shipping lanes, and dropping or knocking out German submarines was the main thing that we did during the war. One of the places that my ship was in port was Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, and I know you've been reading a lot about Guantanamo lately because that's where they have incarcerated so many Muslim terrorists. This is a picture of the commissioning of our ship. It was the first of its class, and the ship eventually became obsolete and was sold for scrap in I believe New Bedford, Massachusetts. One of the places I was stationed at was Little Kinnikeet Lifeboat Station in North Carolina on Hatteras Island. You remember from the recent hurricane that Hatteras Island was the first place that the hurricane made landfall. And this building was all there was to the base where we stayed. The picture of the USS Mendota. She was 255 feet long, which is about the length of a city block. And we had a crew of 300, and I was a part of the first crew to serve on the ship. This is a picture, a formal portrait of all of the descendants of one of my great-grandfathers. William Thomas was his name, and there are no in-laws in this picture, just descendants of that couple. And this was made in 1910 in Altus, Oklahoma. It has my mother's mother. She was a little girl, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother in the picture. And there's a legend here by it so that you can tell who was who. I became a university professor, and this is the way I looked when I was teaching at Lubbock Christian University in Lubbock. In order to get raises and salaries and step-ups in rank, I had to publish articles in professional publications. And I've got a couple of those up here as examples of some of the writing and publishing that I did. I was a student at New York University, got a master's degree there. And on the campus of New York University is the National Hall of Fame of Great Americans. And so that was a big tourist attraction on the campus I attended. I got my doctor's degree at the University of Denver, and this is the commencement program. And the commencement program has my name in it as one of the graduates. One of the things that I've done for a long time, beginning when I was in school in New York, is to serve as an artist's model. One of the residents of the dormitory at NYU was majoring in photography, and some of his homework assignments required him to have a model, and there were other things that one of his assignments required, which was to feature a commercial product of some kind. So he took my picture with a box of Ritz crackers, lying in bed, studying and eating crackers. And just recently, that picture was published in a national magazine. But my modeling career continues. In September, I'll be modeling for a group that meets at the Garden and Art Center in Lubbock. This is a portrait that was done by one of the artists in that group for which I modeled. My family first came to Texas in 1853. My great-great-uncle and my great-grandfather came to Texas from Kentucky. My great-great-uncle had just returned from the gold rush in California in 1849. And on his return, after he made his fortune in gold, he came back through Panama and he walked across the Isthmus of Panama, all the way from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean, and then caught another ship to go on back to the States. Well, a book has been written. When they came to Texas, they settled in Wise County. That was back in the days of open range. There were barbed wire hadn't been invented yet, so you didn't fence off ranches. You just put a herd of cattle out there and let them go and graze wherever they wanted to. Well, their ranch, called the Two Cross Ranch, went all the way from the west fork of the Trinity River to the Denton County line, covering roughly the southeast quadrant of what is now Wise County. They not only established the first ranch, they established the first school, they established the first church, they established the first cemetery. So today, if you go to Newark, Texas, you'll see the Hudson name on the main drag through the town. It's Hudson Street, named after my family. And there are, of course, lots of stories of the history of my family in this book. When I was in college, one of the things I did was to be in music and dramatic activities. And this is a picture of me in a play at Western Oklahoma State College. The play was Little Women. And the picture is so faded by now, you can hardly make out who I am. I was married in Searcy, Arkansas to Eupha Williams. And this is our formal wedding portrait. We were together 54 years before she passed away. On our 50th anniversary, we had a congratulatory message from the White House, which the Bushes signed. And to mark Eupha's passage, I have a copy of her death certificate here framed. And this plate has a long history in our family because it was used at the celebration of my mother's 50th anniversary as well as our 50th anniversary. When I retired from university teaching, I took a class in ceramics. And since I have a lot of Native American blood, I thought one of the things that I would like to do to help preserve Native American culture would be to make some pottery with Native American designs. And this is the result. I've always been interested in growing things. And one of the things that I've gotten into is commercial plant breeding. Breeding new forms of plants to be used in landscaping. And also I exhibit plants that I have grown in shows. And this is an honor that I won this spring called Artistic Sweepstakes in a flower show. This blouse is a Coast Guard blouse. The way you can tell is on the right sleeve of the blouse is a white shield. Navy uniforms do not have that white shield. Only Coast Guard uniforms do. Otherwise, the uniforms are just the same. Now, in peacetime, back then, the Coast Guard was under the Secretary of the Treasury because of all the work that Coast Guard does with customs and other things and that involve money. But now the Coast Guard is under the Homeland Security Secretary, and but in wartime, it used to be that the Coast Guard was under the Navy. So I had sort of dual enlistments in both the Coast Guard and the Navy during World War II. This is the New Testament that was given to us with a message from President Franklin Roosevelt, who was president during World War II. And here are also some of my medals that I earned while serving this dual enlistment in the Coast Guard and Navy. When I was teaching at Harding University, the woman who eventually became my wife and I took an art class together in oil painting. And this is one of the things that I painted while I was in that class learning how to oil paint. Does anyone have any questions? I'm not sure our 45 minutes is up yet on the bridge.
What was the message from Roosevelt? What did it say?
It's a very beautiful message. It's brief, so let me read it. It says, as Commander-in-Chief, I take pleasure in commanding the reading of the Bible to all who serve in the armed forces of the United States. Throughout the centuries, and our men of many faiths and diverse origins have found in the sacred book words of wisdom, counsel, and inspiration. It is a fountain of strength and as always, an aid in attaining the highest aspirations of the human soul. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Of course, many sailors carried these in their uniforms, and you'll notice the pocket of the uniform is located on the left side where your heart would be. And there are all kinds of stories about how service personnel have been shot, but this little New Testament was sufficient to keep the bullet from killing them. Are there other questions?
This is not a question, it's just an appreciation for the varied career excellence with which you committed it. Now, we'd like for all of you to know that I'm his younger brother, and I admire him about as much as anyone else.
Amen.
Well, in the scrapbook, we very proudly have some pictures of my brother and I together. We had a difference in ages, but like I told someone today, the older we get, the more alike we look.
I can tell your brothers when he walked up.
So,
The only trouble is, I'm 7 years younger, but he looks like he's the one that's 7 years younger.
Well done, PawPaw.
thank you.
I sort of missed it.
Mrs. Skillman, you didn't bring your 13 button dress blue bottoms to go with those, though. Remember those? You remember all the buttons?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
That flap in front.
They kept those all the way up till the, well, as far as I know today. I wore them in the 90s. Yeah, had those big buttons with the anchors on them, and you had like 13 of them. You better not be in a big hurry.
Yes, I remember those from World War II.
Because not very
Mr.
long.
Roosevelt said exactly like this, didn't
He wanted to maybe use some of the stories or the things that people wrote in their cards that they
Oh,
like to share
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
We do that now too, to use time.
Yeah, that's
Some of
something.
them are in here.
Do you want to do the honors to the room?
I can. Dad's already opened them.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, We, some of us wrote some special memories that we had of Dad in the birthday cards that we wrote. In mine, I wrote about one of my earliest memories of my father. And this was when both Milton and I were pretty young. And I write, one of my special memories as a small child was when Milton and I played Bug-Rilla. Milton could